The most anticipated game of this weekend, Liverpool against Arsenal. Final score at Anfield, Liverpool 1, Arsenal 0. Liverpool take all 3 points and win against Arsenal in a very long time. And I can't remember how long Liverpool hadn't beaten Arsenal. But it's finally happened. Liverpool have beaten Arsenal, and this was a cagey game. I'm not going to lie. Like I said, most anticipated game of the weekend. Everyone was looking forward to that, including myself as a neutral. I wanted to see if this was really going to be the title decider for the title at the end of the season, which is self-explanatory, of course. But anyway, if I was not a Premier League fan, this would be horrible advertisement for the Premier League, because this game lacked creativity, it lacked real flair, it lacked entertainment to a certain extent. It was real cagey, and at times it looked really, really ugly. You know, a lot of battles, a lot of, the ball was out of play for quite some time, a lot of stop and start moments in the game. And the game started off in the worst possible way for Arsenal, because 4 minutes in, William Saliba had to go off. Now, I don't know what the injury was, because they did show a replay, but it was just the normal, well, at least for me, it looked like a normal duel between him and Ekitike, if I'm not wrong. Next thing you know, the ball gets, there's a long ball from Alisson, and then Saliba's on the floor, and Mosquera has to come on. And like I said, 4 minutes in already, Arsenal sustained another injury. But luckily for Arsenal, you could say, they do have the depth now. There's no excuses where people now say, well, we don't have like-for-like replacements, and the person coming on to replace Saliba is not as good as him, because Mosquera, according to Arsenal fans, was a good replacement, or is a good replacement and good defender. So luckily for Arsenal, they had someone ready right there, boom, to come on and play. And to be fair to Mosquera, I don't think he put a foot wrong. Towards the beginning of, him getting minutes, he did look a bit hesitant on the ball, did look a bit nervous. But as the game went on, in my opinion, I don't think he had a bad game. So, the next game, he looks like he could probably start for Arsenal, depending on what the injury is for Saliba. But like I said, the game was cagey, a lot of battles, a lot of fouls. Especially, that Arsenal defense and the Liverpool attack. I have to say, some of the battles that Ekitike had to go up against, or had to, sustain with Saliba, with Gabriel, backing into Gabriel, but then Gabriel holding on to him, backing into Mosquera, but then Mosquera holding on to him. Like, a lot of battles happening, man. But, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Equally, on the other side of the pitch, same thing happened. Gyökeres, engaged in a lot of battles, which largely contributed to him having a completely quiet game today, backing into Van Dijk. Van Dijk getting hold of him, getting the best of him, sometimes putting in a foul here and there. Konate, getting the best of Gyökeres as well. There was a time in the second half where the ball was played into a channel, Gyökeres makes the run, but then Konate just comes and barges into him like, welcome to the Premier League, my friend. It was tough for Gyökeres, and I have to say, and this is not me trying to body shame someone, but I have to be honest and say, like, when he runs, like, he looks very, very heavy. He struggles to really get to top speed. Or maybe it's just slow. Maybe he's just slow, but then I don't think he is, because watching him in the Portuguese league for Sporting, he looked kind of quick. But then again, this is the Premier League where, you're met with defenders as quick as you, if not quicker. So again, this is a welcome to the Premier League moment for Victor Gyökeres, and it's going to be up to him to work on that. I don't think there's anything tactically that Arteta can do to try and fix that. It's just going to be up to Gyökeres, man. Maybe train a bit harder, lose a couple pounds, be a bit lighter so you can be a bit quicker. Because, these things matter in the Premier League. The quicker you are, the more susceptible you are to have one up on your defender or against your opponent. If you're as heavy as he is, again, not body shaming him, but it can be tricky. Very, very tricky. And, they showed the stats in the first half, and I think Liverpool had no shots on target in the first half, and Arsenal had one shot on target in the first half. And it kind of tells you the story of the first half. Like I said, very cagey, lots of duels, lots of battles happening. There was a bit of tension sometimes, shouts for penalties. I know Timber went down in the first half, which wasn't a penalty at all. In the second half as well, a couple of penalty shouts. I know that Arsenal fans were asking for a penalty when the ball hit Szoboszlai's shoulder. I think there was a penalty shout for the foul on, or the alleged foul on Eze. Again, wasn't given. So Arsenal were really looking for fouls and set pieces and free kicks here and there to try and have one up on Liverpool. Speaking of the corners, I didn't actually realise that, the corners were different for Arsenal because, well, in the first half, for large parts, in the second half, Odegaard wasn't on the pitch. So they couldn't take the corners that they usually take, the in-swingers, and then having the guys, do the thing that they always do. But the corners didn't work today, but we'll get to that in a minute. And then in the second half, I think there was a slight switch. I thought that Liverpool were a bit more proactive. They were a bit more daring. They wanted to do more. They wanted to win this game. They're at home in front of their home crowd at Anfield, so they had to try and make something happen, which again reflects in the stats. 3 shots on target, Arsenal. I think no shots on target in the second half. Yeah, no shots on target in the second half. Despite, a couple of changes happening for Arsenal, in the middle of the second half, no shots on target for Arsenal. And it really felt like in my head, I was like, I don't want to think that way, but something tells me it's going to take a moment of magic for this game to be completely unlocked. But we did see some beautiful play from Liverpool. The first thing that jumps into my head is, well, apart from when the ball got fizzed into Curtis Jones and then he receives it on the half turn, wins the free kick, and that's what ultimately got the free kick, which we'll talk about in a minute. Van Dijk, I thought he was going to play a complete diagonal ball to Salah, but the ball he plays across the ground hits it perfectly into Salah or whoever that was, and then Liverpool managed to get an attack. Yeah, that was lovely to see, man. That was really, really lovely to see. And that's when I think Liverpool had the little switch. And I thought, okay, Liverpool are trying to win this here now. They're not trying to settle for a draw. Then, like I said, the incident happens where Curtis Jones received the ball on the half turn, tries to go for a run, gets clipped by, who was it again? Was it Zubimendi? I think it was Zubimendi. I could be wrong. But anyway, correct me in the comments if I am. He gets the free kick for Liverpool, and Salah, Szoboszlai, and I think Florian Wirtz are behind the ball, standing behind the ball. And I'm thinking, who's it going to be? My first thought was going to be Salah. Left-footed, puts it top corner, could happen. But then Florian Wirtz moves away. Salah moves away. And I'm like, okay, Szoboszlai, this might be the time for one of your famous Bundesliga bangers. You know what I mean? And boy, Dominic Szoboszlai steps up and scores an absolute beauty of a free kick. The dip, the swerve, the pace. Posed inside, like the goal, the free kick, everything about it was just inch perfect. And that, my friends, was the magic that Liverpool needed to unlock this game. What a sublime free kick. Already contender for goal of the season. Already. Because of when it happened, where it happened, the magnitude of the game. It was absolutely perfect. And from then, Liverpool just managed the game. And I thought even that was done really well by Liverpool. All of the balls that were thrown by Arsenal into Liverpool's box, they headed them away. They got rid of them. No dilly-dallying on the ball. Just cleared it. Like it was a proper grafted out 1-0 win by Liverpool. And I think they fully deserved it. Because at the end of the day, this was a very tough game. And credit to Arsenal defensively, apart from that free kick, obviously, which they could do nothing about. They hadn't conceded a goal yet. Up until this game, they had not conceded a goal yet. So credit has to be given to that defense, because that defensive display was really, really good. Like the structure of that defense, and that's probably the only positive I will give Arteta, was impeccable. Like it's very difficult to score against this Arsenal side. Very difficult. And like I said, it takes something special to get past that defense, i.e. Szoboszlai's free kick. So credit to Arsenal and Arteta for that. And Liverpool grinded out that win, and they got the win. in the end. And I think now, looking at the table, that puts Liverpool top of the table, 9 points out of 9. Arsenal with their first loss of the season, third at the moment, but it's early doors into the season. But still, yeah, Arsenal's first loss, considering, last season, for example, you go into, let me check, Arsenal had how many losses? 4. They had 4 losses, So yeah, Liverpool get the win. And credit to Liverpool for that, man. Credit to Liverpool. And this is hard for me to say as a Man United fan, but credit where it's due. We're always going to be honest on this channel. As for Arsenal, man. This was poor, I have to say. This was poor. Personally, if I was an Arsenal fan, I wouldn't be able to take a positive out of this because, and I'm going to tie the player's performance into Arteta's tactics and how he set up the team. Like I said, defensively, he set up the team perfectly. That was fine. But I'm looking at the players, and at one point I even tweeted it, and I said, is Noni Madueke the only player that wants to win here? Because it definitely looked like it. Madueke was the only player that tried to make stuff happen. He may not necessarily have made things happen, but he tried to make things happen. On that right-hand side, trying not to take on his man. And fair play to Kirkaz, he had a fantastic game. Completely had Madueke on lock. Fair play. But still, Madueke was trying stuff. Going in the 1v1, trying it to cut inside or go around the outside. You could tell this was someone who was trying to win the game, trying to make stuff happen, whether it was get a shot off, putting a cross for someone, for Gyökeres who was in the box. He was trying to make things happen. That's why I tweeted and I said, is he the only one that's trying to win this game here? Because that's damn sure what it looked like. Apart from him, I don't think anybody wanted to win this game. The Arsenal players. I genuinely think everyone tried to play it safe. And that ties into the manager's mentality. I think Madueke hasn't yet been infected with that mentality that I'm about to talk about. And that's Mikel Arteta's obsession to not take risks. I'm sorry, I don't care what team you are. I don't care what manager you are. I don't care how long you've been in the business. When you go to Anfield, especially when you're a title contender, you have to take risks to win a game of football against Liverpool. Especially at Anfield. You have to take risks. If I was an Arsenal fan, yeah, I'd be absolutely tired of Arteta not wanting to take risks. Absolutely tired. Because I'll tell you what, it very much looked like Arteta was trying to get out of Anfield with a draw and be happy with it. And again, this is something I tweeted. I said, Arsenal's defensive setup is impeccable. But trying to play for a draw would be a mistake. They have to go for the win. Because if you draw this game, which obviously they haven't, at the end of the season, when you're missing 2 points or when you're short of 2 points to the title, you're going to look back at games like this and go, those 2 points could have won us the league. Those extra 2 points. Now it's free. Honestly, Arteta's obsession with not wanting to take risks is killing this team because this team is a talented team. They have a talented squad. Don't get me wrong. But constantly trying to play Big Six games to look for corners, look for free kicks, look for penalties, and not creating enough from open play is killing this team. It's absolutely killing this team. And if this is how Arteta's going to approach every game against the Big Six and just think, we'll just take care of the rest, and then against the Big Six, we'll just make sure we draw. That's not how you win the league. I'm sorry. And I've said this before in the game against Man United. You got the 3 points. Fair play. But you're not going to corner yourself to a title. You're not going to set piece yourself to a title. That's impossible. At some points, you're going to have to take risks. And by the time Arsenal made those changes, which were positive changes, Eze came on, Odegaard came on, it was too little too late because Liverpool was already taking control of the game. And that's probably when Arteta clocked it and he was like, I need to make a change here, which were good changes. But again, I don't know. This constant defensive-minded approach is killing this team. And ultimately, that's what's going to not win Arsenal the title yet again. I can see myself being sat here at the end of the season and say, Arsenal have missed out on the title for the 4th year in a row. For the 4th consecutive year. I can see myself being sat here at the end of the season saying this. Why? Because Arsenal do not want to take risks. I've said it a million times before. Arteta's tactics is like having a square box. All of the players have to operate within that square box. You do anything outside of that square box, you're going to be labelled as a rebel. You're going to be taken off. Arteta needs to take his players out of that mindset of the square box and allow them to be free, allow them to express themselves. Arteta wants to coach every kick of the ball from the goalkeeper to the goal. That's not how football works, unfortunately. Pep's managed to do it because that's Pep. But unfortunately, you're not Pep, if that makes sense. So, I don't know, man. Again, Arsenal wasn't awful today. They just didn't take enough risks. And against Liverpool, you're going to pay for that mistake. Or for those mistakes of not taking risks. You know? On top of that, you get some of the players, or maybe just one player, or maybe two, in Arsenal's squad, and you go, I don't know if you really belong in this team. Mikel Merino is a midfielder, but since he was transformed into this makeshift striker, all of a sudden now, Arsenal rely on him to score goals, even though they just splashed 60 plus million on Gyökeres. Like, I don't know what's going on. Gabriel Martinelli, I told you Arsenal fans in the first or second game, I said, get familiar with the idea to say goodbye to Martinelli, because he was absolutely awful today. Literally running into dark alleys. He reminds me of Rashford a little bit. Just head down, not aware whatsoever what's going on to his right, to his left. He is not aware of anything. He's just head down, and then he gets to the byline and then just dribbles the ball out of play. Well, you can't really call it dribbling, but yeah, anyway. So yeah, man, disappointing performance from Arsenal, I'm not going to lie. Couple of disappointing performances on Liverpool side as well. I thought Salah was poor today. Really, really poor. But then again, I said it. He's a fantastic goal scorer, but he's not a great footballer. Because some of the touches today, oof, that was a hard watch, man. A hard watch. Because Liverpool could have scored maybe one more today, I would say. If Salah just first touch, kill it. You've got to kill the ball. Second half, I think, was that. McAllister fizzed one perfectly. Yes, it was McAllister. Sorry. Remember when I talked about that Van Dijk thing that he did? Where he just, like that pass that he played, it was into McAllister. McAllister then fizzes it into Salah. No, it was Wirtz. See, I've got my head scrambled. Anyway, forget what I said. But anyway, there was a time where Salah receives the ball from the middle part of the pitch, receives it on the right-hand side, and instead of killing it dead, he heavy touch, and the ball just bounces off his shin. First half, he had the chance to put Ekitike through, overhits the ball. Those are fundamental things, man. As a footballer, these things should not even be talked about. You should do this in your sleep. But I'm sure Salah will finish the season with his 20-goal contribution. Anyway, but Kerkez, I have to finish with this one. Kerkez, improvement on the two first games. Absolutely fantastic performance today. Like I said, had Madueke on lock. Like on lock. Kerkez, wonderful, wonderful performance. And yeah, man, Liverpool go into the international break being top of the league, and Arsenal. Yeah, let's look at the fixtures of both teams coming up. Liverpool come back after the international break and start against Burnley, which is going to be Burnley away. And Arsenal come back from the international break and will play Nottingham Forest at home before both of them play their Champions League fixtures. Athletic Bilbao away for Arsenal and Atletico Madrid at home for Liverpool, if I'm not wrong. Yes, for Liverpool. But anyway, people, let me know what you think in the comment section below. This was a not so entertaining game to watch, but that goal was absolutely fantastic. Mwah, lovely. We love to see it. But anyway, people, Liverpool fans, Arsenal fans, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I've got something very, very, very special prepared this week. And for that, you have to head over to my Instagram, to my TikTok, and to my Snapchat. Please, Snapchat people, for those who still use it, head over to my Snapchat. It's the same name as my YouTube, my TikTok, and everywhere else. Some exciting stuff happening this week. Yeah, we're traveling, but yeah, it's gonna be fun. Tune in. I'm telling you, people, you will not regret it, because this week, starting tomorrow, Monday, it's gonna be hella fun. Yeah, so make sure you tune in for that. Yeah, that was it for me. Closing in on 19K is road to 20K. At 20K, we will do a 20K Q&A where I respond to 20 questions from you people. How can I, you know what? I will make a special email address and you lot can send me your questions at 20K. Of course, not now, but at 20K. So yeah, that was it from me, people. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'm out. Peace.